Hi guys, this is Shaina from YumiYarns.com, and we're doing something a little different today. So instead of doing tutorials where you only see my hands, I thought it would be fun to start up a knitting podcast. A couple years ago, I had done one for like 3 episodes that were like months and months and months apart from each other. But I think I've got it figured out how I'll be able to make this work. You will not always get this amazing lighting that I have tonight because I'm filming at night. I intended to film yesterday during the day, but that did not work. We had stuff that came up and my children don't sleep. So now you get this fantastic evening light and we get this super cool, cozy nighttime knitting video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Shaina. I'm the designer, writer, everything behind YumiYarns.com and the Yumi Yarns knitting patterns and tutorials and all that stuff. I've been knitting for quite a while, and I've been really inspired by all the new knitting podcasts that have been coming out this past year, and it's kind of weird because I feel like this is the next generation of knitters, and I love it. Like, it's really fun seeing all the new knitters, and like, I'm not trying to be demeaning or anything like that. It makes me so happy seeing all of these newer knitters. Like, within the last couple years they've started knitting. And it just makes me so happy seeing their enthusiasm for knitting and techniques and yarn and all the fun things. And it just really, I've been getting a lot of enjoyment out of watching their podcasts. And some of them have been knitting for a while, but just started doing a knitting podcast. And I don't know, I've just been getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. So I thought it would be fun to do my own knitting podcast also, and kind of show you guys what I'm working on and what I'm thinking of working on. I used to only knit my own patterns because I thought as a designer that's what you do. But it's way more fun to knit other people's patterns. You get inspired, you get to see all the different ways that you can do kind of the same thing, and you learn new techniques, and it's just really fun. And that's why we watch knitting podcasts too, right? To get inspired and to have fun and see what other people are working on and what yarns we might want to try that we've never heard about before. Because that's kind of the other thing that has been really exciting for me to see too is I really love indie dyed yarn, and that probably will always be my absolute favorite go-to. But it's really fun seeing all the knitters from all over the world, like all these newer knitters that are getting super into like kind of the crunchy wools, like the woolly wools, and not being intimidated by techniques or different things like that. It makes me super happy seeing these knitters that are like, yeah, I've been knitting for 6 months and I just made my 8th brioche sweater. Not that that's like something you have to do as like an achievement, but it makes me super happy to see more young, happy, new knitters getting excited by all the things. Because if you've ever met me, I get excited by all the things, like really excited, kind of obnoxiously so sometimes. So I apologize ahead of time if I kind of go off on a tangent. But all that being said, if all of that sounds like fun to you, and I haven't scared you away yet, I invite you to hang out with me, have a cozy drink and some knitting with you, and we will just chat about some of the things that I'm working on, some of the things that I want to work on, some new knit-alongs, some knit-alongs that kind of have finished, but I'm still working on them because I can't be a monogamous knitter. I try and I can't. So we've got all sorts of fun things. I'll start off with finished items, which I only have one, which is this cowl. This is the Little Fires Cowl, and I'll slide it off here so you can see. hopefully you can kind of see the flames. It's got a brioche rib. It's a flame stitch cabled lace, and then more brioche rib. And it doesn't take a full skein of fingering weight. It takes about, I think I had 34 grams of yarn left over when I finished this from a full single skein. It's a little bit longer and more drapey. And that's so that you can throw it on with something lighter like what I've got right now. Or you can kind of do this number, so you can tuck it under a coat or something. Or you can wear it with a turtleneck once it gets a little bit cooler, or, you know, and I like it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is definitely one of those where like it looks really scrunchy and weird on your needle and almost looks like it has bobbles. I can't talk. But then once you block it out, the lace smooths out and you actually can see the stitch pattern, and it's really fun. And this one, this is my pattern. This is Yumi Yarns pattern. I started a book group sort of last month through my Patreon page, and we started reading the Little Fires Everywhere book. Most of us kept up. It's November 6th and I am finishing the book. I've learned with this that I'm better at knitting along to audiobooks than trying to knit something and read something at the same time. So, lesson learned, that's what we're doing this month, is listening and knitting, because I really enjoy that anyways. And yeah, so this is the Little Fires Cowl. Like I said, I'm really happy with how it turned out. The yarn is from Merino e Vino. Lily, the dyer behind Merino e Vino, is really super sweet. This was part of her subscription box that she does. It's a quarterly subscription box. And the nice thing is, though, even though it was a kind of a surprise subscription box, and this was one of the kits from earlier in the year, you can actually go on and get this yarn still, because she dyes up extra after the box has gone out. And that way you can still get a skein if you want. And I'll put links in the description for all these things. But that is my only finished object for this time. I'm hoping to do a podcast once a month to just kind of keep you guys updated on stuff. But that way I still have time to be able to do the tutorials and walkthroughs and different things like that. So hopefully we'll kind of get into a routine here where every week I'll have a fun new video for you. But that is my finished object. So we're going to go on to the whips, and I've got a few. First off, it's kind of a faux, kind of a whip. This is one of my patterns. I promise these are not all my patterns. I think I have one more after this one that's my pattern, but it's not even started yet. So I promise I have other knitter or other designer patterns. But this is the First Impression socks, or sock. And that's why it's still a whip, because I need to finish it by making the other sock. It looks really big, and it is, because it's a cozy sock. I have big feet anyways, so these do actually fit me, but they're sideways socks. So when you make them, you actually make them lengthwise and seam them up. You can't really tell where the seam is, but because I didn't follow my own instructions, I've got another video kind of walking through and explaining what I did. I'll link to that also, but because I didn't follow my own instructions, I have a little seam here, because instead of doing a provisional cast on, I just cast on and knit, and then I just picked up and Kitchenered it closed. But you can do that, you can just seam it. There's, a bunch of different ways you can join the sides of the sock. But yeah, and then after you do that, so you knit the length of the sock, you leave a space for the heel. you seam the whole thing up, and then you can add on the toes, heels, cuffs in whatever order you like. And I used contrast yarn, and this is also yarn from Merino Avino. This was Pride and Prejudice mystery knit-along kit that we did. And these were kind of the leftovers. So these are basically scrappy socks from a leftover Advent type kit. And I just striped them together, and I really like them, and they're super cozy. Like, as you can tell, this leg is super long. It's actually twice as long as I would normally knit a leg. And that's because since there isn't ribbing, and it's not like super shaped here, it's pretty loose. I wanted it long so that you can slouch it down and scrunch it and have them be super cozy socks. And they are, and I love them. But I need to make another one before winter is over, which, I mean, it's November 6th, so hopefully that means I'll be able to get it done before winter's over. I live in South Dakota, so our winters get cold and gross. But it does make it really nice having cozy knits, because then you can just snuggle up, and if you don't have to go anywhere, you don't, you just stay all curled up and cozy, and it's wonderful. Or if you're like me and have a child who loves snow, you go out for half an hour and freeze, and then you come inside and everybody's nice and cozy. But that is one of my whips. I need to make the second sock. So there's that. My next one, I have a couple here to show you. So my next one, neither of these are my patterns. I'm really excited about this one that I'm going to show you. It is a secret test knit, and I'm so excited. I have test knit my own patterns, which I don't know if that counts as a test knit, but the way I write patterns is I write them up first, and then usually I end up testing them with my testers. But this is one that one of the designers I follow, the Petite Knitter, she lives in, I never pronounce it right. Basically, she lives up above the Arctic, like in the Arctic, and she has the cutest colorwork patterns. And I've been following her for a while, and I really like her designs, and she had put out a call for testers like a month ago, I think. And I signed up and ordered the yarn from the shop up in Canada that she works with for kits and things, because I have been wanting to try Manchelopis, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. And so, oops, we'll do that because my lighting. But these are Manchelopis, which is produced by Wool Dreamers, and I'll link to it down below and everything. But I don't know if you can see this very clearly. So it's unspun wool, which means it's basically like pencil roving, and it's really like, it's not, so when you feel it in the plate, because that's what these are called, as plates, when you feel it in the plate, it's not like scratchy. I've definitely felt more coarse wool, but it's not like when you hold up to your face, you're not like, yes, I want to lay my face in this. It's definitely one that, like, feeling it in the plate like this, your first thought is, okay, I can wear that over other things, and it'll be a great like run outside sweater because it'll be nice and warm. But this is amazing. It's one of those super fun yarns that once you block it, not only do the stitches like smooth out and become beautiful, it like takes on a whole new character. The yarn fluffs up and everything smooths out. It's so pretty. And when it's in the plate, it kind of smells a little bit sheepy, which I know some people don't like that smell. I personally really, really love the smell of sheep and lanolin, and like, I don't know, there's something about that sheepy smell that I just love. And so like when I got these in the mail, as soon as I opened the bag, I was like, oh, this smells so good. Like, I brought over to my kid and made him smell it. He does not like the smell of sheep as much as I do. So he did not care for that. But I think it's a huge plus and I absolutely love it. So I knit up my little swatch, and I'm being careful not to share too much because the designer just started posting teasers. So I don't want to overshare and give away the surprise. So you get to see the yarn and the swatch right now, and later on I'll show you more. But I made a little swatch. And yes, I'm holding it sideways, sorry. And I just, like, I wish I would have taken more pictures of the swatch before it was blocked, because it, like, really, my stitches were not nice looking. Like, I'm good at color work, but I'm not outstanding at color work. And I mean, you can still see that there's some variations, but it's like night and day difference. And just the texture of the finished fabric, it's very light and fluffy, and it softens a lot even just from steam blocking. And it actually like feels like it's like an actual fabric, not just like a bunch of knitted fluff together. So I'm super, super happy with it, and I can't wait for this sweater to be done. I'm so excited. Yeah, I will keep you guys updated. By my next video, it should be done because the test knit is due the end of November. And I'm not concerned about the timeline. I will have it done by then, because it goes super fast. Because that's the other fun thing with this yarn. So in the plates, oh no, I lost the end. That's the one downside. It is really hard to find the ends if you tuck them along the side. It just like blends in. So pro tip, when you're not using it, take the strand and just lay it on top. It won't move, it catches because it's kind of grippy yarn, but that way you can find it a lot easier. So because it's pencil roving type, one, it's 2 strands together, and you can knit them together as one, which is what we're doing in this pattern, or you can split them and knit them just as a single strand. So this would be more like a light fingering, whereas if it's the 2 strands, it's more like a DK, or possibly more than a DK, because we're on, I think, size 8 needles for this sweater, so that would be more than a DK. But it's really, really lightly, like it's just holding together. So like if I pull on this, it will just like break apart. Which is, to me, it's kind of crazy that like you can even knit this. Obviously you can, and it makes sense, but it's so light and fluffy, you guys. I just love it. It's so magical and fun to work with. And I can't wait for this finished sweater. It's gonna be so cute, and I just love it. So that is possibly my favorite thing on my needles right now, because I absolutely, like, I keep looking at all the different colors, which there's not a huge color selection in this yarn, but I keep going back and looking at all the colors and thinking like, oh, what about this combo? What about this one? So I'm sure that there will be more Manchelopis sweaters in my future. And I did buy a ton of the yarn for this because I always buy up. So if I'm, looking at how much I'll need for a sweater or for whatever project, I usually will buy an extra skein. So with these, I ended up buying 6 plates of the light green and I believe 2 of the dark green, which is like way more than enough. And the designer even mentioned, she was like, oh, that's a lot. My thoughts are, whatever I have left over, I can make into other things. And right now, I really think that whatever I have left with the dark one, I'm going to make into a sweater for my baby for Christmas, because that'll be super cute. And he's not as picky about his clothes as the 10-year-old is. Well, almost 10-year-old. He's 9, but he'll be 10 around Christmas time. And he has picked out his own yarns because he has opinions on what is and is not allowed. So hopefully we'll get his sweater made by Christmas or birthday too. So there's that one. And then my other whip is my Geogradient Shawl by West Knits. I'm mid-row, I'm sorry. I was at the car place getting work done on my car, so this will be fun. But I'm on clue 3, so if you are also knitting and you don't want it spoiled and you're not this far or anything like that, here's your warning to look away. I'll have timestamps down at the bottom of this video to let you know where you can click to be safe and not have the pattern spoiled. But I really love this one also. This has been a really fun mystery knit-along. Last year's I started, and I think I started clue 2 maybe. Clue 1 last year was intense, and I absolutely loved the colors that I had. I love the yarns. I like the way the finished shawl looks, but clue 1 was a lot. Like a lot. Like, I believe I saw somewhere that clue 1 had something like 14,000 stitches just for clue 1. And in the end, it was a cool technique, but there was a lot of casting on and binding off and casting on and binding off to make these loops. And I don't like that. Like, I just don't enjoy doing that. It was a cool technique. I did not enjoy it at all. So by the time I got through all of that and realized what it was, I did not feel like it was something that, had I seen the pattern before I started, I don't feel like I would have selected that pattern to knit, because I don't feel like the amount of casting on and binding off was worth the result that you got from it. And that's just my personal opinion. It was cool looking, but like, I've actually seen that technique before, and it wasn't until after a little bit of doing the casting on and binding off and realizing like, oh, this is what we're doing. It was kind of defeating. So this year's though has been really, really fun. I actually wasn't going to do this year's because last year was kind of defeating and disappointing in that aspect. And I was like, well, I'll just sit on sidelines and watch, because I have a lot of other stuff going on right now. And so I was like, I really don't have time. Last year's was not my favorite. So I was just gonna kind of hang out. But there was some problems with clue 1, and completely unintentional stuff, but it was a lot of drama, and I felt so bad for Steven. I've gotten to meet him a couple times and hang out with him, and he's really nice and really cool. Like, he's pretty much what you would expect. I mean, he has so many wild out there colors and patterns and everything. And so I think a lot of times people think he's going to be like just this super high energy, crazy, like all over the place. He's actually very chill. And like, he likes all the bright colors and everything, but it's very much just like more of a design aesthetic. And at least when I've gotten to hang out with him, he was just very like, not quiet, but like, he's not super in your face. He's just there, and he's nice, and he's just excited about knitting and yarn and everything, just like the rest of us. And yeah, and so I don't know, as a designer, I've had different experiences too, where I had a mistake or something in a pattern, and it is rough if you have people coming at you for stuff online, because a lot of times, like in person, people will be nice to you. People say awful things if they don't, like, if they're not seeing you face to face. Sometimes people are just absolutely horrible. And I just, like, my heart just broke for Steven with what was going on around Clue 1. But he handled it so well. Like, I was so impressed because I was so scared that, like, after all the cancel culture stuff and everything, not that some of it wasn't warranted, but after all of that through like 2020 and 2021, like when this was happening, I was really, really worried for him, and really, like I said, my heart just was breaking for him because he's so sweet and so nice. And like, I just was really hoping that he would be able to handle it really well. And he did an amazing job of like being the example of like, this is how you handle things when things don't go the way you think they're going to. And yeah, I was so impressed with that. And so I bought the pattern just kind of to support him and, you know, send him a message and everything. And he's got so many followers and so many knitters. He's got a whole team that works with him. So I don't know if he ever got my message, which is fine, but at least somebody on his team did. So at least, you know, I don't know, at least it helped somewhere, hopefully. But all of that to say, it was really fun because after, like, as he was getting things figured out and smoothed over and fixed, which he was on it. He got everything taken care of like as quick as he could and was very decisive about like, this is what we're doing, this is what we're not doing. And even though he was being pressured, you know, a bunch of different directions, everything, he did a really great job, I think. But in the end, it was kind of fun because with Clue 1, he put kind of the message out there, like, you can have fun, do your own version of the center square and play around with it and have fun. And so Steven's the reason I like brioche. And so of course I had to do a brioche square. So I took his version, his second version of the center square that he had done, where it was the like a radiating square where it started in one color and then had stripes of the other 4 colors going out. And so I took that and just did kind of a brioche version. We'll do this. And I'm super, super happy with how it turned out. I love the colors. I love the way that the center turned out. And then this is Clue 2, these stripes. So it's gonna be hard to show you on here, I think. I've got this on stitch holders, but basically you take half of your square and stripe it this way so it's kind of flat along this edge, and then kind of a arrow along this side, and you do the same thing on the other side. And then Clue 3, which is where I'm at, right through here, you are actually only working on one of those sides from 2. So we're actually kind of making, right now it looks sort of like a triangle shawl-ish, but the final one I've seen has that sort of shape. Hopefully I didn't ruin it, but it's, yeah, I'm really, like, I love the way the final ones that I've seen look. I'm really excited to finish mine. I'm really excited that these were all stash yarns that I'd actually bought for 2 completely separate projects and had never gotten around to knitting them. And so when I was looking through my stash yarns to cast on, these 4 skeins were all just in there next to each other. And no, let you see the texture a bit. So I grabbed them and I am so thrilled with them. And this in section 3, or clue 3, I messed up here, don't look at that row. But up here, it's a fun slip stitch pattern, and I really like it, it's fun. I like doing slip stitch stuff anyways. So I'm a little bit behind because the shawl was actually revealed a few days ago. The mystery knit-along wrapped up and all the things, but it's okay. There's other people still knitting with me, so we're good. It'll get done when it gets done. It's just for fun. Yeah, and so I'm super excited. I'm gonna keep working on that. Hopefully I'll have that done by the time we do next month's podcast, but you never know, we'll see. So those are the ones that I'm in the middle of. I don't really have yarn acquisitions because I'm trying to work through stash a bit. So I've got some aspirational knitting coming up that I'm very excited about. So I mentioned the book club. This month we're doing braiding sweetgrass, and I'm a little behind because I haven't started the test knit for the pattern yet. So if you're interested, that test knit will be going out in this week's email. So sign up for my newsletter. I'll put a link below, and you can be notified when like what's going on with the test knit and everything, because I'll have signups for that in this week's email. But for braiding sweetgrass, we have another yarn from Merino e Vino, because I'm kind of going through and designing stuff with her club boxes from this year. This one, oh good, the color's showing up better than the pictures I tried to take this morning. So this is another one that she sent out. I believe this was one from the summer. But look at how pretty that is. So it's like this kind of almost, it's very similar to my pumpkin-y colored sweater here, but it's slightly more orange. It's got a few little peach hints in there and a few kind of white, almost white. It's like just a few little undyed splotches, and then there's a few, you can't really see it in the ball here, but there's a few areas with some black speckling, and it's really fun. I'm very excited for this one because we're doing socks. I don't know, we might be doing socks with the book club. Like it might just be books and socks. I don't know. I haven't decided for sure yet because it's still kind of new and we're still playing around with it and learning what everybody likes. But these are going to be socks. And so braiding sweetgrass, we have to do braids. So these are going to be braided cable-y bun socks. And they are featuring a new heel. Well, it's new to me at least. That I'm really excited about trying and sharing with you guys. It's called the Strong Heel, and I haven't seen a ton of patterns with it. I haven't seen a ton of tutorials for it, and so I'm kind of excited because we'll do tutorial with it, and I don't know, it'll be fun. I'm really excited for these socks. Those, like I said, the test knit will be announced in my email this week, which should go out on Wednesday, so tomorrow, if you're watching this when it first comes out. Oh, also I have to show you the bag that it's in. For once, I'm actually like matchy-matchy with my bag and my yarn. I love it so much. So this bag is from the Crafty Toads. And their website is Toad Hollow NJ. Again, I'll link below. They make bags and I love them. They're like my favorite bag makers. I have a couple. I have like 2 favorite bag makers and they're one of them. They have the best fabrics. They make really pretty stuff. So that makes me very happy that it matches. Watch my email for the test knit stuff. Then the other thing I have, Casey from Young Folk Knits. I can't remember the name of the designer that she's partnering with, but basically they're doing a Pressed Flowers Knit-Along, and so they're doing this because they've both been wanting to make pressed flowers stuff. And I've also been wanting to make a pressed flowers something because I think it's super fun and cute and I love it. And the Pressed Flowers series of patterns is from Savory Knitting, I believe. And so I'm trying to work through stash. I mostly have fingering weight in my stash, so this poses a problem because the pullover is a DK weight, and I kind of wanted to do the pullover because I think it's super cute and it's my favorite. There are also socks, and I wouldn't mind doing the socks because they're super pretty also. But if I do the pullover, that means that's a lot more yardage out of my stash. And that's kind of my goal right now. I really want to knit down some of my stash because it's a lot, like a lot. And some of it's just been sitting in there, and some of it, like, I love it. I can't design with it because one reason or the other, either the dyers aren't dyeing anymore, or the base doesn't exist, or it's not a colorway that they make it anymore, or, you know, various things. Or it was a limited edition colorway because I'm such a sucker for limited edition colorways for different events and stuff. And then after I get it, I'm like, oh, that's right, I can't design anything. I can knit it, but I don't know. I like having stuff that I can design with. And so, but all of that lead up to the fact that I came up with what I think is a pretty good solution for not having much DK and not having, basically enough yardage of the right weight yarn for this pattern. So if you don't know what the Pressed Flowers Pullover looks like, it's basically like a mosaic knit top with like a floral pattern, and you have your main color, and then you have the background color. And because of the way it's done, since it's mosaic knitting, the background color can actually be kind of like a crazy hand-dyed whatever, and it'll just look like multicolored flowers, because it's got like a flower pattern all over it. That's why it's called Pressed Flowers. And then the main color you want to be more tonal so that it kind of like calms down and gives kind of some sort of structure to the crazy yarns that you can use as the secondary color. So I was looking through my stash. I do not have enough of this to do a full long sleeve pullover, but I have these lovely babies from CC's Wool, and these were a special Rhinebeck colorway, I think in 2020, might have been 2021. It was a couple years ago, but I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. It's literally the color of falling leaves and apples, and it's so pretty. So it is their Superwash Merino Yarn Baby. It's fingering weight. Each of these is 8 ounces, so it has 1,120 yards. So if I hold them double, that'll give me my DK weight. And I think that will be tonal enough to not throw things with the contrast color, because the contrast color that I'm using is a pretty high contrast to this. And I guess I should say contrast colors that I'm using, because my plan is to use these guys as my contrast. So these two skeins are the same colorway. It's called Alchemy of Herbs, and I love this color. But I bought these two skeins forever ago, and I have not found the perfect project that I want to use them for. And it's a cashmere BFL silk blend. So I don't really just want to make socks. Also, these would have to be like knee-high socks to use up 2 skeins. I think I originally bought it because I was going to try and make a shawl of some sort, because I bought 2 other skeins in this base from her also, but the colors on the screen were a lot different than the colors in person, which was kind of a bummer because I had actually messaged her to see like if those 4 colors look good together in person, and never heard back. And then I got my yarn and they didn't, like, at all. So that was kind of a bummer. But it's the yarn is from Less Traveled Yarn, and I believe it's travelingyarn.com. It's still really pretty. It was just kind of a disappointing shopping experience, and that honestly has kind of tainted a little bit too, and so this hasn't been one that I've like reached for necessarily right away. So have goodies for it now though, because since I have 2 skeins of this, I have 1 skein of this one from Lavender Loon, which is it was a indie birth initiative that she did a few years ago. So this was a fundraising colorway that she did, and I love it. And my plan was to make socks, but it has enough colors that are similar to this one, which is actually a Knit Picks Hawthorne, I believe. Yes, so it's 80% Highland wool and 20% polyamide. And then this one's Superwash Merino, 85% and 15% nylon. They're both fingering weight, but I thought they both had very similar colorways. Obviously, they're not exactly the same because that would be weird, but I thought they had enough similarities that if I held 1 skein of traveling yarn with this one and 1 skein with this one, and then alternated rows, so like did a row with this, then a row with this, I don't know that you would really be able to tell that it's actually 4 different colors of wool. I don't know. I'm gonna knit up a swatch and we'll see. But that's kind of my plan for my contrast color, is to do these guys. And I know, so these have a lot of very cool tones. I'm gonna do my best to hold them all and show you what they look like with the very bright orange. So these are super cool. I think that they'll look good knit with this one, with these ones though, because there's a lot of green. Like that's the base color, is this minty green in Alchemy of Herbs. And there's like a lot of green splashes throughout here. So like I said, I'm gonna knit up a sample to see, but I think, or a little swatch, I think that that'll be really fun and really pretty. It'll give enough contrast between the two, but I think it'll look nice. We'll see how it goes. If it doesn't look good in the swatch, then I don't have to do it, you know? And then I'll just get yarn and make socks with for the knit-along. But, so that's kind of my plan for that. Also, I do not fit in a size that uses that amount of yardage, because if you remember, if I hold this double, that's like 1,100 yards. That does not fit me as a full pullover. So my plan is to not only have this color combo where I'm combining a bunch of fingering weights, but I'm going to make it just a t-shirt length for the sleeves. I might, because it's kind of an oversized fit on the whole thing anyways. So I think I'm going to go in using these, you know, obviously as my main colors. If I need to though, I'm gonna pull in a third something from the stash for the ribbing around the sleeves and the neck and the base or the bottom ribbing and everything. I don't know what color that would be though. Maybe a navy. I don't know. That might be too dark. I don't know. We'll have to see how things go. This is really going to be just a throw things at this pattern and see if it turns out the way it does in my head sort of knit. And I'll keep you posted as I go through it. Hopefully it's good. So we have that. I think that is, oh, I have one more. Okay. Sorry about that. Readjust a bit. I forgot some of my yarn. So there is another knit-along. I know, I really love joining knit-alongs. I am usually terrible about finishing with everybody, but it makes me happy to join along and be a participant. So that's why we knit in groups, right? So that we can have fun with each other and chat and hang out and look at all the pretty yarn and see everybody else's pretty yarn. Also, I'm sorry about all the crinkling. So I bought this yarn back in 2020, shortly after Animal Crossing, the game came out. And I got it from Sunshine Yarns. So I got this gradient set, which is called Island Life. That purple is real dark. And then this teal is really dark too. But I got this set because at the time I was playing a lot of Animal Crossing, like a lot of Animal Crossing. So I got that set along with Butterbeer, which, if I'm honest, I have wanted to buy Butterbeer from Sunshine Yarns, I think since I started knitting. Like, Sunshine Yarns was actually the very first indie dyer that I ever bought yarn from back when I started knitting. And I believe my first two skeins were Bitterroot and Cherry Blossom something. It was something about cherry blossoms, and it was pink and white and green, and I loved it. And Bitterroot was like this root beer, beautiful brown tonal gorgeousness. But Butterbeer is, you know, Harry Potter stuff, but it's so pretty. Look at how pretty that colorway is. It makes me so happy. So when I was going through my little Animal Crossing phase, and she had a set called Island Life, which if you haven't played Animal Crossing, you are on an island. And it's very cute. The whole point of the game is to continue to make it more and more cute and make your island your ideal island getaway. And it was like perfect timing for that game to release right when the pandemic started. Because I'm sure they just made boatloads of money off that game. Anyways, because, you know, everybody was trapped inside and trying to do stuff that made them feel like they weren't trapped inside, except for those of us who are kind of introverts and like being inside by ourselves all the time. So this is not ideal to show you because it's difficult, but my lighting's weird. But basically this combination made me think of the sky and the water on Animal Crossing, and then this is the sand. So I wanted to do some sort of something, which when I ordered this, it was going to be a design that I did because I had it in my head. I have this vision of what I want it to be. And I still kind of have that, but I have enough design work going on. I wanted something fun. And Sunshine Yarn is doing a Festive Cowl, which Amba O'Brien does a lot of designs with Sunshine Yarn, and she also is doing a Festive Cowl. She's another designer. She does have really fun patterns, but I do not have a full advent calendar here. Sunshine Yarns calls their advent calendars festive kits. And so since mine isn't a full festive kit, I never really thought that I could play along with their stuff, but I was looking into it this year, and for the Sunshine Yarns Festive Cowl, you can just knit Sunshine Yarns into something that you want to count as the festive cowl. So I'm really excited because that means I can use my gradient set and my single skein. And they had a whole bundle of patterns that you could look through and see that were like, they would work well with the gradient sets, like the mini skein gradients that I have here. And so I was looking through there, and there's one, it's by Casapinka. It's called Woolen Waves, and it looks like just a very nice, chill, mostly knit stitch color, kind of color work. It's like color blocking, boomerang type shawl. So, and it's like literally perfect color matchups for the size of mini skeins that I have, for the yardage, for the single skein. Like, I don't have to sit and do math or try to do things with it, which was kind of the point when I was looking at the festive cowl rules and everything. I was like, you know, I'm gonna be done with my Geogradient soon. I'm gonna be done with my sweater end of November. And the nice thing too is the festive cowl goes from November 1st to I think the end of February. It might be beginning of February. I have to check. It's February something. But that's still, that's over 3 months. So it's okay for me to just have this as like my little side chill, relax project. And that's why I really wanted to pick a pattern that was just very basic, that wasn't going to be something that I was going to try to have to figure out, like, okay, how much of this mini skein am I using and how much of this one am I using? And, you know, because some patterns are written for like 5 mini skeins and this one has 6. And, you know, then I wouldn't want to not use one of the mini skeins. So I'm just really excited that it's just one that I can just cast on and knit and I don't have to think about. And a couple of the other people in the Sunshine Yarnies group had mentioned that they had knitted already and that one's a really just nice, relaxing knit. And that's kind of my goal for this one, is just to enjoy the pretty yarn and make something fun. Yeah, and so it'll be good because I have a few other design projects and ideas in the works that I'm wanting to work on over the next few months. Plus, I want to do some gift knitting and stuff like that. I'm really bad about being like, I can make everybody's gifts this year. So I'm really trying to check that and not plan on making everybody's gifts this year because I know I can't. Proven that I cannot. So if I get to a few people's gifts, I will count that as a win. I have, like I said, I want to make my boys' sweaters. And other than that, I have a couple things, like maybe some DK socks or something that I want to do, but nothing like super mega huge. I did buy a cone of dishcloth yarn from Knit Picks. That's really a pretty color. It's their dishy yarn. I bought that over the summer to make my sister some stuff because she has a few things that she has requested and they're like stupid easy. And she's not gonna watch this. I'm making her washcloths. So I mean, nothing that's groundbreaking or that's gonna, you know, drive me crazy or anything. But yeah, it's gonna be fun this year. Get a few things lined up, and yeah, that's about what I have for today. I don't know, I hope you guys liked this. That went on for a long time, but I don't know, hopefully it was inspiring. Hopefully you guys have some fun ideas, heard about some fun new knit-alongs to join. I'm gonna be posting, you know, the links to everything down below, but I'll do kind of a roundup on my blog this week too. When this video posts, there'll be over on yumiyarns.com. I'll put a post up that has more information about the knit-alongs and links and all the things. A lot of them are on Ravelry, which seems like there have been enough changes made since the Ravelry update of 2020 that a lot more people can use Ravelry again, which is nice. There's still kind of the mentality of, do we want to support that? So there's that. I don't know that I have the mental capacity to get into all of that right now. I'm just excited that the knitting culture seems very positive right now, and that I found some really fun knit-alongs and some really fun new podcasters, and like this, like I'm very excited for the direction that I feel like the knitting community could be heading right now after a few years of things being really rough. And even this past year, there have been different things with events and stuff like that that have been really kind of crappy. But maybe some of that stuff had to go away to make room for newer and better things. And I don't know. That's not making light of anything with the people that lost money or that it was awful for them to experience, like stitches and woolen folk, and like that's not making light of any of those situations. But there's, you know, with a few of those bad things that have happened this past year, there's definitely some good things going on in the knitting community, and I'm so excited to be here for it. I hope you guys are too. I hope that you'll come and hang out with me again next month when I post another another podcast. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you have wonderful knitting ahead of you, and that you have something warm and delicious to drink. And I will see you in the next video. I believe next week is another tutorial. To check my calendar because I planned it. So we'll see if I stick to my plan. But whatever it is, I'll see you guys next week. Have a great day and happy knitting.